Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing today, beautiful? As you can see, new trailers have been dropping left, right and center today, all Final Fantasy related at Summer Games Fest. So I'm actually going to be making two videos today as we have two things to cover. The first of which is going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as you can see here, and we're going to have an analysis of the trailer, look at where the story might be going, and new gameplay mechanics, playable Red 13, it is not a drill, playable Red 13, and also we're going to take another look at Ever Crisis as well as some new information for that came out, but we're going to do that on a separate video. So if you want to learn more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and some of the interesting developments that have come out of it, then stay tuned and keep on watching. So before we watch the trailer itself, you may have seen on the Final Fantasy VII Twitter page some cryptic messaging that's come up recently all over the place, and this is the newest one that's come out from Tetsuya Nomura regarding Final Fantasy VII Rebirth after the trailer had been announced. So it just says here is the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer, the second part of the trilogy that was first revealed at Summer Game Fest. Take a look at our previously posted Q&A alongside it for a better understanding of the trailer content. All of the latest information will be shared on this account, so please follow us and watch out for future updates. So if you're wanting more information on FF7 Rebirth as it comes out, as I do, as many of us do, this is the Twitter account for you to be following. Or you can always follow here and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be keeping you updated with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news as it happens as well. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this trailer then, shall we? And as you can see here, this is the aftermath of FF7 Remake. So the tornado that sweeps through the various sectors is showing basically just the destruction that it's wrought on Midgar, and you can see all the characters from 7 Remake here, so Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, Red 13, etc., being carried off in stretchers and ambulances by Shinra soldiers. So this would just implicate to me that this is the immediate aftermath of what happens after Remake. However, I'm starting to think there's a split timeline thing going on, because what we see at the end of Remake is not what we see here. They seem quite happy at the end of Remake, kind of walking off into the distance, ready to carry on with their adventure. So it's very interesting to see what's going on with this particular part of the game. So the unknown journey continues. So again, I'm starting to get like a weird parallel universes vibe here, because what you're seeing here and what you're seeing at the beginning of this trailer don't quite match up. But what I'm gathering from this point is that we're seeing like calm, sort of, you know, the lighthouse at the end. So this will be where like the Chocobo Ranch should be. This is just the continent that Junon and all of the other cities are sort of located on in the early half of Final Fantasy VII, the original. So then seeing what's going on here with all of the characters as they're running through, I think is more just to showcase that it's retaining kind of like an open world aspect. And from the tweets that we'd gotten over the course of time when it came to what Nomura was posting, we're going to be following kind of characters individually as well as kind of a greater whole. So again, going to be interesting to see how that's handled.
Doing these past 5 years, where's he been? And you're asking me this?
So again, we're just kind of walking through. We can see the Chocobo Ranch here as well, and it's really nice to see kind of the Chocobo Ranch kind of brought to life in FF7 Remake's engine. And I think it'll be really exciting, especially because you see Chocobos later in the trailer as well. It's nice to see them being more prominently featured, so you can see them riding the Chocobos. So in the party there, you've got Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, and Cloud. And then we also get to see sort of Red 13 being playable. But not only do we see that, this part here is obviously coming from Cosmo Canyon. If you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, you'll know that this is a major plot point in the game where the live stream is explained, as it is in this trailer as well. And I gotta say, Bugenhagen, our grandpa there, got the glow up of the century. Like, I mean, he still looks like he's got the floaties going on, which I was really curious to see how they'd bring Bugenhagen to the modern sort of console era. And I think they've done a really good job. He looks great. And I love like this explanation being shown in this really sort of dynamic way. So this part here suggests to me that we are exploring like the underground cavern around Nibelheim, and then more sort of various environments there. This, I would imagine, is the explanation of Cloud and Sephiroth's past in Calm. But there's some very interesting sort of dynamics going on here, especially given that we were told earlier that Tifa is actually like explaining that Cloud was never at Nibelheim 5 years ago, which is something in the original game we all kind of thought, hold on a minute, how can you say that, or how come you haven't said anything earlier? But it seems in this one she confides in Aerith and explains it to her, and then she says, well, what makes you think I know anything about it? Which suggests to me that Tifa knows more than she's letting on, and that's exacerbated upon in this trailer big time as well. So we're seeing reunion playing out here. This would be just a fairly simple boss here, but I think it's here to showcase something very exciting, which would be playable Red 13. And just seeing Red 13 being playable at last, why he wasn't in Remake makes me sad, but we've got him now. Also, Elena looking fierce over here. We're happy with the Elena glow up as well. Rude obviously coming back. This looks like Wutai, or like something near to, or like giving me like the Wutai caves, because you see Elena before that, but I don't know, it's giving me that kind of vibe. Maybe Cosmo Canyon caves. So again, this area here, like you can see off in the distance in this bit of the trailer, you can see Junon, and then we might be able to see Fort Condor. There you see Junon in a much greater kind of capacity there, more playable Red 13. Obviously seeing him spinning around and doing loads of crazy stuff. Also, these team up attacks are looking very cool. I'm very pleased to see more of this. Like if there's like limit breaks that involve 2 or more characters, that's something we've been wanting since Chrono Trigger. So to see that coming around, I'd be very, very here for that. Not only do we have playable Red 13, we also have playable Yuffie and a twin kind of limit break between those two, and then another one with Cloud and Barret. Just very exciting stuff all around. So now this part of the trailer is very interesting because it obviously shows that we didn't beat Sephiroth in FF7 Remake. You know, he's still around, and there's still a lot of cryptic messaging from FF7 Remake, and then seeing Jenova in another form here saying, you know, and Sephiroth here will say, you know, she takes on the form of those you hate, those you fear, and those you love. And I think that this is kind of giving the idea that perhaps Tifa isn't who she says she is. Oh, that's the impression I'm getting from this trailer. Perhaps she's a Jenova clone of some description. And there's a good reason as to why that might be assumed. Now, here's also another interesting bit. So you'll see a cloaked figure that's got a little bit too much detail to just be a background character. And I'm wondering who this might be who's attending the reunion. My vibe is that it might be Genesis, based on just his facial shape and the fact that his hair kind of flapping around in the wind. Originally, when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, Cloud's in the reunion. But as I look closer at it, I'm pretty sure it's not Cloud. I have a feeling that this is how they're going to reintroduce Genesis into Final Fantasy VII. But this bit coming up here is the bit that makes me really think that they're going for a Tifa's not who she says she is vibe, or they're doing a red herring by saying, oh, well, you know that I killed Tifa, so who's she supposed to be then? So are they going with, again, parallel universes? One where Tifa is who she says she is, one where she's not, because obviously Zack is now confirmed to be alive in this, in this storyline. So has that changed the outcome for Tifa? And now she's kind of the one everyone's got to keep an eye on. I think they're going for a really interesting dynamic here by kind of putting eyes on one of the player characters to go, oh, hold on a minute, maybe you can't be trusted. And then finally, like the other big reveals here, like, oh, the big ones you kind of want to see when it comes to anything like this, is a release date. And it's on 2 discs on a PS5 game. That means it's going to be absolutely friggin' humongous in terms of size. So I wonder how that's going to translate in terms of being digital. Now, early 2024 is a very wide scope. We were told winter of this year, and that still fits. So perhaps late January might be the way to go with this, because it would signify the 27th anniversary for Final Fantasy VII in Japan. So maybe they're going for that kind of vibe and trying to release it alongside that milestone, or maybe it'll be a bit later. But honestly, I'm surprised that we're getting this much news on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth just before Final Fantasy XVI is getting a release date. That's wild to me, but I'm happy to see it, and I'm sure you guys are too. Before we finish up the video, don't forget to check out all of my social media links in the description box below, including Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and Patreon. And a quick shout out to one of my patrons, as I do every time I release a video, to give thanks to everyone who supports this channel. And today that person is going to be Martin Sittick, who has been a supporter of mine for a really long time now. Massive thank you goes out to you, and I'm sure you're as excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as I am. So what do you think of the trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Who do you think the imposter in the midst is alluded to be? Because when Sephiroth says, you know I killed her, who is she? That could be referring to Aerith as well. That doesn't necessarily have to be referring to Tifa, even though that's the footage that's being shown on the screen. There's a lot of very exciting stuff coming out, and honestly, I know a lot of people were really miffed about the fact that A, Final Fantasy VII is being released as a remake across multiple games, B, that it's taking a different direction to how the original did, but I was one of those skeptics before Remake came out, and having played Remake, I really enjoyed it, and seeing this trailer for Rebirth has me extremely hyped for the final release, as and when it's ready to release. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the craziness that's ensuing here. Thank you ever so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell for any other videos I might be making, including the Ever Crisis one that I'm about to put out as well. And I'd be interested to hear what kind of coverage you want to see when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Ever Crisis. So thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.